The wineglass shattered against the marble floor 3 tables away, and I knew my night had just changed. I'd been sitting alone at Corvo Nero for 20 minutes, watching the rain streak down the floor-to-ceiling windows, waiting for my sister Maya to show up for her own birthday dinner. The restaurant hummed with low conversation and the soft clink of silverware against porcelain. Candlelight reflected off crystal and made shadows dance across white tablecloths. I should have left when she texted she'd be another hour. Instead, I ordered a second glass of Barolo and tried to ignore the way the man 2 tables over kept staring. He was broad-shouldered, mid-40s, wearing an expensive suit that didn't quite hide the thickness around his middle. His companion, a younger woman who looked uncomfortable, kept her eyes on her plate while he drank heavily and laughed too loud. When his eyes met mine for the 3rd time, something cold slithered down my spine. I looked away, focused on my phone, pretended to be absorbed in emails I'd already read. The scrape of a chair being pushed back made me tense. Footsteps approached. All alone, beautiful. His voice was wet, slurred at the edges. He stopped beside my table, close enough that I could smell cognac and something sharper underneath desperation. Maybe, or entitlement. "I'm waiting for someone," I said without looking up. "No, you're not." He pulled out the chair across from me and sat down uninvited. "Been watching you. Nobody's coming." My pulse hammered against my throat. The restaurant suddenly felt too quiet, too distant. I glanced toward the maître de station, but the host had stepped away. "I need you to leave." I kept my voice steady, cool. He leaned forward, elbows on my table, invading the space between us. "Come on, don't be like that. I'm just being friendly. Pretty girl like you shouldn't drink alone." "I'm fine. You'd be better with company." His smile was all teeth. "I can show you a real good time. My name's..." "She's not interested." The voice came from behind him, low, quiet, but it cut through the air like a blade. The man twisted in his seat, irritation flashing across his face. Then he froze. I looked up. The man standing there was tall, lean, dressed in a black suit that fit like it had been made for him. Dark hair pushed back from his face, sharp jaw. Eyes so dark they looked black in the candlelight and utterly devoid of warmth. He wasn't looking at me. He was looking at the man sitting at my table, and the expression on his face made my breath catch. "This is a private conversation," the drunk man said, but his voice had lost its confidence. "No." The word was soft, final. "It's not." The drunk man's face reddened. "Listen, I don't know who you think you..." "She's with me." The stranger's eyes shifted to mine for just a second, a flash of something I couldn't name, then back to the man in the chair. "Leave now, or don't leave at all." The temperature in the restaurant seemed to drop. Around us, conversations had stopped. People were watching now, but carefully, like they were afraid to be noticed. The drunk man stood up slowly, hands raised. "Hey, no problem. I didn't know she was out." One word. The stranger didn't raise his voice, didn't move, but the drunk man stumbled backward like he'd been shoved. He muttered something, grabbed his companion by the arm, and left money scattered on his table before hurrying toward the exit. The door swung shut behind them. The stranger stood there for a moment longer, perfectly still, then turned to me. "Are you hurt?" I shook my head. My voice came out smaller than I wanted. "No, I'm thank you." He studied me with those black eyes, and I felt stripped bare under his gaze. Not in a sexual way, in a way that made me feel like he could see every lie I'd ever told, every fear I'd ever hidden. "You shouldn't be here alone," he said. Something about the way he said it, not a suggestion, but a statement of fact, made anger flare in my chest. "I was waiting for someone. They're not coming." "How do you..." "Because you've checked your phone 6 times in the last 10 minutes. He pulled out the chair the drunk man had vacated and sat down without asking. "And you're still here." I stared at him. "I'm sorry. Who are you?" "Someone who doesn't like men, who can't take no for an answer." He gestured to the waiter, who appeared instantly, like he'd been waiting for the signal. "Another glass of the Barolo for the lady. And the Brunello di Montalcino, 2015. The waiter nodded and disappeared. "I didn't ask you to sit down," I said. "No." His lips curved slightly, not quite a smile. "But you're not asking me to leave either." He was right. I should have thanked him again and asked for space. Should have felt more afraid of this stranger who commanded the room with nothing but his presence. Instead, I felt something else entirely, something dangerous. "What's your name?" I asked. He tilted his head slightly, considering. "Dante." "Dante what?" "Just Dante." The wine arrived. He lifted his glass, watching me over the rim. And you are? Elena. Elena. He repeated it like he was tasting it. You come here often? First time. You? I own it. My heart skipped. I looked around the restaurant with new eyes, the expensive art on the walls, the hushed reverence of the staff, the way everyone had watched that confrontation like they knew exactly who he was. You own Corvo Nero. Among other things. The way he said it made me think the restaurant was the least important thing on that list. What other things? He set down his glass. Things a woman like you shouldn't be curious about. A woman like me? Someone who sits in restaurants waiting for people who don't show up. His voice was gentle, but there was steel underneath. Someone who says thank you to strangers instead of asking why they were already watching. My skin prickled. You were watching me before? I notice everything that happens in my restaurant, Elena. The way he said my name, slow, deliberate, made something warm unfurl in my stomach. Well, thank you for noticing, I said. And for the help. But I should probably go. I started to stand. Sit. It wasn't loud, wasn't harsh, but something in that single word made me sink back into my chair before I'd even decided to obey. He leaned forward slightly, and I caught his scent, something clean and dark, like cedar and smoke. The man who bothered you, Dante said quietly, works for the Marconi family. They run protection rackets on the south side. He's been drinking here every Friday for 3 months, and every time, he corners young women. My mouth went dry. How do you? Because I've been deciding whether to kill him. The words hung in the air between us. I should have run, should have screamed, should have done anything, except sit there staring into his dark eyes while my heart raced and my hands went cold. Why are you telling me this? I whispered. Dante's expression didn't change. Because you asked what else I own, Elena, and I want you to understand exactly what you're sitting across from before you decide whether to stay or go. The candle between us flickered. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky, and I realized, with a clarity that terrified me, that I wasn't going anywhere. I stayed. God help me. I stayed. We didn't talk about the threat he'd made so casually. I've been deciding whether to kill him like it was a business decision, something to weigh over wine and candlelight. Instead, Dante asked me about my work, my family, the book I'd been reading on the subway that morning. Somehow, he already knew I took the subway. Somehow, he'd noticed the corner of the paperback sticking out of my bag. You're good at this, I said, after our food arrived. Pasta I hadn't ordered, but that appeared anyway, perfect and steaming. At what? Making people feel like they're the only person in the room. He twirled pasta around his fork with precise movements. Maybe you are. I doubt that. You probably do this every night. Beautiful woman sits alone, you swoop in. No. The word stopped me mid-sentence. Dante set down his fork and looked at me with those unreadable eyes. I don't swoop. I don't rescue. And I certainly don't sit down with strangers and tell them what I told you. Then why me? I'm still deciding. The honesty of it stunned me into silence. We ate. The restaurant had returned to its normal rhythm around us, but I felt cocooned in our corner, separate from everything else. Rain still fell outside, turning the windows into moving paintings of light and shadow. What do you do, Elena? Dante asked. For work. I'm an art conservator. I restore damaged paintings. Something flickered in his expression. Interest, maybe. You fix broken things. I try to return them to what they were meant to be. And if they're too damaged, if the original is gone, I met his gaze, then you document what was lost and preserve what remains. You can't always fix everything. No, he said softly. You can't. The weight in those words felt personal, and I wondered what he was really asking. My phone buzzed. Maya's name lit up the screen. I'm so sorry, Elle. Emergency at work. Rain check. Love you. I set the phone down without responding. Your person who wasn't coming, Dante observed. My sister. She's a surgeon. Emergencies happen. You're not angry. I'm used to it. I sipped my wine, suddenly aware of how much I'd drunk on an empty stomach before dinner arrived. The room felt warm, liquid at the edges. Besides, if she'd shown up, I wouldn't be here. Would that be so bad? Yes. A rational part of my brain screamed. Yes, it would be better, safer, smarter. I don't know yet, I said instead. Dante's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile but felt dangerously close. He lifted his wineglass. To uncertainty, I clinked my glass against his, and the sound seemed to seal something between us. We talked about art he knew more than I expected, asked questions that revealed a genuine understanding of restoration techniques, He told me about a Caravaggio he'd acquired last year, damaged by water, and asked if I could look at it. I don't usually do private commissions, I said. I'm not a usual client. No, you're really not. I studied him across the table. In the candlelight, his features looked carved from stone, beautiful, and hard, and completely unreadable. Are you going to tell me what you really do, besides own restaurants? Import-export. That's vague. It's intentional. And the Marconi family? The man you threatened? Dante's expression didn't change, but something in his eyes went very still. I told you. They run protection on the south side. And you don't? I didn't say that. My heart was pounding now. But not from fear. From something else, something reckless and hungry that I didn't recognize in myself. What are you, Dante? He leaned back in his chair, studying me like I was a painting he was considering for purchase. I'm the man who makes sure people like that don't hurt women like you. I'm the man who owns half this city, legally and otherwise. I'm the man your mother would tell you to run from. Should I? Run? Probably. But you won't. He said it with absolute certainty, and it should have made me angry, his arrogance, his assumption. Instead, it made heat pool low in my belly, because he was right. The waiter appeared to clear our plates. Dante ordered espresso for both of us without asking. I should have objected. Should have asserted some control over this situation that was rapidly spiraling beyond my understanding. I didn't. Tell me something true, I said when the waiter left. One real thing. Dante's eyes locked onto mine. I noticed you the first time you walked past this restaurant. 3 weeks ago, you were wearing a green coat and carrying art supplies. You stopped to look at the menu in the window, and I watched you from inside. I thought about following you. My breath caught. Why didn't you? Because I'm not a good man, Elena. And I knew if I started, I wouldn't stop. The espresso arrived. I wrapped my hands around the small cup, needing something to anchor myself. I should go, I whispered. Yes. You're not trying to stop me. No. He drank his espresso in one swallow. I'm giving you a choice. You can leave right now, and I'll make sure you get home safely. Tomorrow, this will feel like a strange dream. You'll come back to your life, and I'll stay in mine. Or, he stood, buttoning his jacket with precise movements. Or, you let me take you home. We talk more, and you accept that whatever this is, he gestured between us. It's already started. There's no going back to before I sat down at your table. My hands were shaking. He was offering me an out, a clean escape. Everything in me that was smart and careful and self-preserving screamed to take it. I stood up. Take me home, I said. Something flashed in Dante's eyes, triumph, maybe, or hunger. He pulled out his phone, typed something quickly. My car will be out front in 2 minutes. We walked through the restaurant side by side. People watched us, not obviously, but I felt their eyes, felt the shift in energy as we passed. The maître d' appeared with my coat, and Dante took it from him, holding it while I slipped my arms through. His fingers brushed the back of my neck as he settled the coat on my shoulders, and I shivered. Outside, the rain had softened to a mist. A black car pulled up immediately, sleek, expensive, windows tinted dark. A man in a suit stepped out and opened the back door. This is Marco, Dante said. He works for me. You're safe with him. I looked at Dante. You're not coming? I have something to handle first. His hand came up, cupping my jaw with surprising gentleness. But I'll be there within the hour. Marco knows where you live. That should have terrified me. Instead, I leaned into his touch. How do you? I told you, Elena. I notice everything. He leaned down, and for a moment I thought he would kiss me. Instead, his lips brushed my temple, barely a touch. Go. I'll see you soon. I got into the car. As we pulled away, I looked back through the rain-streaked window. Dante stood on the sidewalk, perfectly still, watching me disappear into the night. And I knew, with absolute certainty, that everything in my life had just changed. Marco drove in silence. The car was immaculate leather seats, dark wood trim, privacy glass between the front and back. Soft classical music played through hidden speakers. I sat very still, watching the city blur past through tinted windows, and tried to process what I'd just done. I'd gotten into a car with a stranger, let him take me home, a home he somehow already knew the address to, agreed to wait for a man who'd casually discussed murder over Brunello. My phone buzzed. Maya again. Please tell me you didn't wait. Go home, order takeout, watch that show. Love you. I stared at the message. Typed. Already home. All good. It wasn't technically a lie yet. The car turned onto my street in Brooklyn. A quiet residential block in Cobble Hill. Brownstones and tree-lined sidewalks. Marco pulled up in front of my building. A renovated walk-up I shared with 2 other tenants. He got out, opened my door, scanned the street with professional thoroughness before stepping aside. "Mr. Rossi will be here shortly," he said. His voice was quiet, accent softening the edges. "I'll wait outside." "You don't have to." "I do." There was no arguing with the finality in his tone. I climbed the steps to my 3rd-floor apartment, hands fumbling with my keys. Inside, I dropped my bag and coat, then stood in the middle of my living room trying to decide what to do. The space suddenly felt too small, too cluttered. Books everywhere, art supplies scattered across the dining table I used as a workspace, half-finished restoration projects propped against walls. It was my sanctuary, my controlled chaos. Now it felt exposed. I changed out of my dress into jeans and a soft sweater, washed my face, pulled my dark hair out of its pins, tried to look casual, normal, like I hadn't just invited danger straight into my life. 40 minutes later, a soft knock sounded at my door. I looked through the peephole. Dante stood in the hallway, still in his suit, hair slightly damp from the rain. I opened the door. He filled the door frame, and for a moment we just looked at each other. His eyes moved over my face, down my body in the jeans and sweater, back up again. "You changed. Is that a problem?" "No." He stepped inside, and I closed the door behind him. "You look more yourself." He moved through my apartment slowly, taking in the details. Stopped in front of a painting I'd been working on, a Renaissance Madonna. Her face half cleaned, half still obscured by centuries of yellowed varnish. "You really do restore the broken things," he said quietly. "She's not broken, just hidden." Dante turned to face me. "And when you reveal what's underneath? What if it's damaged beyond repair? Then at least we know the truth." Something shifted in his expression, a crack in that controlled facade. He moved closer, and I held my ground even though my heart was racing. "You should be afraid of me," he said. "I know. I'm not a good man, Elena. I've done things that would horrify you, hurt people, killed." "I know," I said again. "Then why did you let me come here?" I met his eyes. "Because I've spent my whole life being careful, doing the right thing, playing it safe. And tonight, when you sat down at my table, I felt something I haven't felt in years." "What?" "Alive." He closed the distance between us in 2 steps. His hand came up to cup my face, thumb tracing my cheekbone with devastating gentleness. "I'm going to ruin you," he whispered. "Maybe I want to be ruined." His jaw tightened. For a long moment, he just stood there, palm warm against my skin, eyes searching mine like he was looking for something: permission, maybe, or absolution. Then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. His mouth claimed mine with a hunger that stole my breath, one hand tangling in my hair while the other gripped my waist, pulling me against him. I gasped, and he deepened the kiss, tasting like espresso and something darker. I'd been kissed before. Been with men who knew what they were doing. This was different. This felt like drowning. When he finally pulled back, we were both breathing hard. His forehead rested against mine, and I could feel his heart pounding through his shirt. "Elena." My name was a prayer and a curse. "Tell me to leave." "No. I'm dangerous. I don't care." "You should." But his hands were already moving, one sliding under my sweater to find bare skin. I shivered at the contact, and he made a sound low in his throat. "Cristo, you're going to destroy me." "Good," I breathed. He kissed me again, slower this time but no less devastating. I felt myself melting against him, all my careful control dissolving under his touch. Then his phone buzzed. Dante went very still. He pulled back, jaw tight, and checked the screen. Whatever he saw there made his expression harden into something dangerous. "I have to go." The shift was so sudden it left me dizzy. "What? Now?" "Now." He was already moving toward the door, but he stopped, turned back, crossed the room in 3 strides and kissed me again, hard, possessive, brief. "Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone." "Dante, what's wrong?" "Marco will stay outside tonight. If you need anything at all, you call this number." He pulled out his phone, typed quickly. Mine buzzed with an incoming text from an unknown number. "Understand? You're scaring me." His hand came up to cup my face one more time. "Good. You should be scared, but not of me. He kissed my forehead, and the tenderness of it made my chest ache. "I'll explain tomorrow. For now, just trust me. Lock the door." He was gone before I could respond. I stood in my empty apartment, listening to his footsteps fade down the stairs. The door to the building opened and closed. I moved to the window, looked down at the street. Dante was talking to Marco beside the car, his body language sharp with tension. Then he got in, and the car sped away. Marco remained, leaning against a streetlight, casual but alert, guarding me. From what? I pulled out my phone, looking at the number Dante had sent. No name attached. Just digits. My fingers hovered over the screen. Then I saw it a second text, sent right after the number. "There's a gun in your building's basement utility room. Behind the water heater. Marco knows. If anything happens and you can't reach me, use it." My blood went cold. I read the message 3 times, trying to make it make sense. A gun. In my building. Put there by. When? How long had he been watching me? How long had he been planning this? A third text arrived. "I'm sorry. I should never have sat down at your table. But I'm not sorry enough to stay away." I pressed my hand against the window glass, watching Marco smoke a cigarette in the rain. My protector. My prison guard. What had I walked into? And why, despite the fear coiling in my stomach, despite every instinct telling me to run, why did part of me want to walk deeper into the darkness? I texted back, "What's happening?" His response came immediately. "Someone knows you were with me tonight. And that makes you a target." I stared at the words until they blurred. Then I went to my kitchen, pulled out the sharpest knife I owned, and sat down at my dining table to wait for morning. Outside, Marco kept watch. And somewhere in the city, Dante was handling something that required him to leave me armed and afraid. This, I realized, was what wanting him would cost. The question was whether I was willing to pay it. I didn't sleep. I sat at my table with that knife and a cup of coffee I'd made at 3 a.m., watching the sky slowly lighten from black to gray. Every sound in the building made me tense footsteps in the hallway, pipes groaning, the couple upstairs arguing in muffled Spanish, normal sounds that suddenly felt threatening. At 7, my phone rang. Dante's number. "Are you all right?" His voice was rough, exhausted. "I'm fine. Marco's still outside." "I know." "I'm watching the camera feed." I looked around my apartment. "What camera feed?" "The one I had installed on your building last week." My hand tightened on the phone. "You've been planning this. Watching me for how long?" 3 weeks. Since the green coat. The honesty was somehow worse than a lie would have been. "I should hang up," I said. "I should call the police." "You should." He paused. "Will you?" I looked down at the knife on my table. Thought about the gun supposedly hidden in my basement. About the way his kiss had felt like coming home and falling off a cliff at the same time. "What happened last night?" I asked instead. "Someone took pictures of us at the restaurant. Sent them to the Marcellus." "The family you mentioned?" "No. Different family. Worse." His voice was carefully controlled, but I heard the tension underneath. "They control the waterfront. We have an understanding, territories, rules. One of those rules is that we don't interfere in each other's personal lives. And I'm your personal life now? After last night? Yes." The simplicity of it should have been romantic. Instead, it felt like a noose tightening. "So what does this mean?" "It means they'll use you to get to me. It means you can't go to work today, can't follow your normal routine. It means, no." I stood up, anger flaring. "No, I'm not doing this. I have a life, Dante. A job, paintings that need to be finished. You can't just, Elena." The way he said my name stopped me. 2 hours ago, someone broke into your restoration studio. Trashed everything, left a message on your workbench. The room tilted. "What message?" "She's pretty. It would be a shame if something happened to that face." I sank back into my chair, the knife clattering to the table. "I'm sending Marco up," Dante continued. "Pack a bag. Enough for a few days. You're coming to stay with me until this is handled. I can't just disappear. You don't have a choice. Everyone has a choice. Not anymore." His voice softened slightly. "I know what I'm asking. But Elena, these people, they don't make idle threats. If they think hurting you will hurt me, they won't hesitate. Why would hurting me hurt you? We barely know each other." The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. Then, "Because in one night, you became the first thing I've cared about in 5 years. And in my world, that's the same as painting a target on your back." A knock at my door. I looked through the peephole. Marco, holding 2 cups of coffee and looking apologetic. "He's here," I said. "Let him in. Trust him. I'll be there in an hour." The line went dead. I opened the door. Marco handed me a coffee made exactly how I liked it. Cream and 1 sugar, which meant Dante had told him, which meant, "How long have you been watching me?" I asked. Marco had the grace to look uncomfortable. "Mr. Rossi is very thorough about protecting what's his." "I'm not his. Respectfully, miss. I think you are." He wasn't wrong. I packed while Marco waited in my living room, his presence somehow both comforting and terrifying. Clothes, toiletries, my laptop. I stood in front of my closet, holding my favorite dress, and realized I was packing like I was going on a trip, not fleeing for my life. The absurdity of it made me laugh a sharp, slightly hysterical sound. Marco appeared in my bedroom doorway. "Miss Elena? This is insane," I said. "Yesterday I was a normal person. Today I'm packing a go bag because a mafia boss thinks I'm worth starting a war over." "You are," Marco said simply. "Worth it, I mean. I've worked for Mr. Rossi for 8 years. I've never seen him like this. Never seen him risk anything for anyone. And that's supposed to make me feel better? No. It's supposed to help you understand what you mean to him." I zipped the bag. "What I mean to him is trouble. In our world, miss, those are often the same thing." We left through the basement, Marco's idea. He showed me the gun Dante had mentioned, a sleek black thing hidden exactly where the text had said. I stared at it. This concrete proof of the life I'd stumbled into. "Do you know how to use one?" Marco asked. "No. Mr. Rossi will teach you." We emerged in the alley behind my building. A different car waited, windows even darker than last night's. Marco opened the back door, and I climbed in. Dante was already inside. He looked like he hadn't slept either, tie loosened, jacket discarded, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms corded with muscle and scattered with scars. His eyes found mine, and something in his expression softened. "Come here," he said. I slid across the seat. He pulled me against him, one arm around my shoulders, and I felt the tension in his body, coiled violence barely contained. "I'm sorry," he murmured into my hair. "I'm so fucking sorry." "You should be." "I know. I could have died in my sleep last night." "No." His arm tightened. "I would never let that happen. You weren't there. I had 6 men watching your building. Another 4 on the roof across the street. Every entrance and exit monitored. If anyone had tried to get to you, they would have been dead before they reached your door." I pulled back to look at him. "Is this what my life is now? Armed guards and safe houses? For now. And later." His jaw tightened. "Later, we eliminate the threat. And then," he stopped. "Then what? Then you decide if you still want this. Want me. Once you really understand what it means." The car started moving. I watched Brooklyn slip away through the window, my neighborhood, my normal life, everything familiar, fading into the distance. "Where are we going?" "Manhattan. I have a place in Tribeca. Secure, private. A place. A home." He tilted my chin up, forcing me to meet his eyes. "My home. Which is now yours, for as long as you need it. Or as long as you want me imprisoned there." He flinched like I'd struck him. "You can leave whenever you want, Elena. Say the word, and I'll have Marco take you anywhere. I'll put protection on you, make sure you're safe, and I'll stay the fuck away from you." "Is that what you want?" I should have said yes. Should have demanded he take me to the police, to my sister, anywhere but deeper into his world. Instead, I kissed him. His surprise lasted half a second before he kissed me back, pulling me into his lap, hands framing my face like I was something precious, breakable. When we finally separated, I pressed my forehead against his. "I must be insane," I whispered. "Probably. This is going to end badly. Most likely. I don't even know you. You know enough." His thumb traced my lower lip. "You know I'll burn this whole city down before I let anyone hurt you. And God help me, that should have terrified me. Instead, it felt like a promise. Dante's place was a penthouse that occupied the entire top floor of a converted warehouse in Tribeca. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the Hudson River. Exposed brick walls, dark hardwood floors, furniture that was somehow both minimalist and luxurious. Art everywhere, real pieces, museum quality, including what I was almost certain was a genuine Modigliani. "You weren't kidding about the Caravaggio," I said, stopping in front of a canvas mounted in the study. Dante came to stand beside me. "The Calling of St. Matthew. Copy, obviously. The original is in Rome. But this was painted by one of his students, possibly with his supervision." Water damage on the lower right quadrant. I moved closer, examining the darkened area. This needs months of work. Layer removal, consolidation, in-painting, which is why I wanted you to see it. His hand rested on the small of my back. Work, Elena. Not a cage. If you're going to be here, you might as well do what you love. I turned to face him. You're bribing me with art restoration? I'm giving you a purpose. There's a difference. He gestured to the room. Full natural light studio in the eastern wing. Climate controlled. Whatever supplies you need. I'll have them here within hours. Why? Because I've seen what you look like when you talk about your work. Your whole face lights up, and He stopped, jaw tightening. I need to see that. Need to know I haven't completely destroyed your life. The vulnerability in his voice made my chest ache. Show me the studio, I said. It was perfect. Light poured through massive windows, diffused by sheer curtains, professional easels, conservation-grade supplies still in packaging, a stereo system, even a small refrigerator stocked with sparkling water and the specific brand of dark chocolate I kept in my own studio. I turned to Dante, who stood in the doorway watching me. You set this up before last night. 3 days ago. You were that sure I'd end up here? No. He moved into the room, hands in his pockets. I was that hopeful. I should have been angry at the presumption. Instead, I felt something warm and dangerous unfurling in my chest. What if I'd said no? Never gotten in your car? Then I would have had a very expensive studio I'd never use. His lips curved slightly. And a painting that would never be restored. I walked to the windows. Below, the city sprawled in afternoon sunlight, people moving through their normal lives, while I stood in a gilded cage with a beautiful monster. I need to call my sister, I said. She'll be worried. Tell her you're taking a few days. Personal time. Marco already contacted your employer, explained you had a family emergency. I spun around. You can't just... I can, and I did. He crossed his arms. Elena, you're brilliant at restoring paintings. I'm brilliant at keeping people alive. Let me do my job. Your job is crime, Dante. Yes, it is. No apology, no justification. I run weapons through the port. I own politicians and judges. I've killed 17 men with my own hands and ordered the deaths of 34 more. I'm not asking you to approve. I'm asking you to trust that I know how to protect what's mine. Stop calling me that. What? Yours. I'm not. He moved so fast I didn't see it coming. One moment he was across the room. The next he had me pressed against the window, hands on either side of my head, body caging mine. Yes, he said quietly. You are. You became mine the second I sat down at your table. The second you looked at me like you could see past the monster, to whatever's underneath. The second you walked into my home and didn't run screaming. That's not how this works. In my world it is. His hand came up to cup my face, thumb brushing my cheekbone. But if you want out, say it now. Say you don't feel this. He pressed his palm over my racing heart, and I'll let you go. I'll keep you safe from a distance. You'll never see me again. You're a liar, I whispered. You said I could leave whenever I wanted. You can. I'm not stopping you. But his eyes were dark with something that looked like desperation. I'm just asking you to stay. We stood there, breathing the same air, close enough that I could see the faint scar cutting through his left eyebrow, the shadow of exhaustion under his eyes. Then I kissed him. This time, I was the one who initiated it. I was the one who pulled him closer, fingers tangling in his hair, body arching into his. He made a sound surprise or surrender, and then he was kissing me back with a hunger that stole my breath. His hands moved to my waist, my hips, sliding under my sweater to find bare skin. Elena, he breathed against my mouth. If we do this. Shut up, I said. For once, just shut up and kiss me. So he did. We didn't make it to a bedroom. We didn't make it past the studio floor. Afterward, lying tangled in discarded clothes and afternoon sunlight, Dante traced idle patterns on my skin, and I tried to process what I'd just done. I'd slept with a man I'd known for less than 24 hours. A criminal, a killer, and it had felt like the most honest thing I'd done in years. What are you thinking? He asked quietly. That I should feel guilty. But you don't. No. I turned my head to look at him. Should I? Probably. His fingers found mine, threading together. For what it's worth, I do. Feel guilty, I mean. Why? Because you deserve better than this. Better than me. I propped myself up on one elbow. Don't I get to decide what I deserve? In a perfect world, yes. And in this world, He pulled me down against his chest, arms wrapping around me like he could shield me from everything outside these walls. In this world, I'm too selfish to let you go, even knowing what it costs you. We lay there in silence, listening to the city beyond the windows. Then Dante's phone buzzed. He checked it, and his entire body tensed. "What is it?" I asked. "The Marcellis want a meeting." "That's good, right? You can talk, negotiate. They want to meet you." I sat up, pulling my sweater back on. "Why?" "To assess the situation. See if you're worth the trouble." His expression was carved from stone. "It's a power play. They want me to bring you into their territory, show that they can touch you if they want to, so we don't go. If we don't go, they take it as an insult, which means escalation, which means war." He stood, gathering his clothes with sharp, controlled movements. "But if we go, I can negotiate terms. Make it clear that you're under my protection, and any move against you means all-out retaliation. You're using me as a bargaining chip. I'm using the situation to establish boundaries." He turned to face me, buttoning his shirt. "There's a difference." "Is there?" He crossed the room, knelt in front of me, hands on my knees. "Elena, listen to me. I will never, ever let them hurt you. Never let them take you. Never let them so much as breathe wrong in your direction. But I need them to see you. Need them to understand that harming you isn't an option. And what do I need to do? Stay close to me. Don't speak unless spoken to. And for God's sake, don't look afraid." I met his eyes. "What if I am afraid?" "Then you hide it." His hands tightened on my knees. "Because in their world, fear is permission. And I won't give them permission to touch what's mine." There it was again. That word. This time, I didn't argue. Because as terrifying as this was, as insane and dangerous and wrong, I was starting to understand something fundamental about Dante's world. Belonging to him was the only thing keeping me alive. The meeting was set for midnight at a warehouse in Red Hook. Dante spent the intervening hours preparing me like I was going into battle. What to wear? Elegant, but not provocative. How to stand close to him, slightly behind. What to say, as little as possible. "They'll try to provoke you," he explained, watching me in the mirror as I twisted my hair into a low knot. "Ask personal questions. Make crude observations. You ignore it. And if I can't, then you squeeze my hand. That's my signal to end the conversation." I met his eyes in the reflection. "Have you done this before? Brought a woman to meet them?" "No." "Why not?" He turned me around to face him, adjusting the neckline of my black dress. "Because I've never had something worth protecting, worth fighting for." His hand settled on my waist. "You look beautiful." I looked terrified. "You look strong." He kissed my forehead. "They're going to underestimate you. Let them. It's better that way." The warehouse was exactly what I expected. Concrete floors, industrial lighting, the smell of oil and river water. 4 black SUVs were already parked inside when we arrived, men in expensive suits, standing guard at various points. Marco opened our door. Dante got out first, then extended his hand to me. I took it, and felt him squeeze once. Reassurance. We walked toward the center of the space, where a table had been set up. 3 men sat waiting, expensive cognac in crystal glasses, cigarette smoke curling toward the ceiling. The man in the middle stood as we approached. Late 50s, silver hair, sharp eyes that assessed me like I was livestock. "Dante," he said, voice smooth as oil. "Thank you for coming." "Vincent." Dante's tone was carefully neutral. "This is Elena." Vincent's eyes moved over me slowly, deliberately. "So this is the girl causing all the fuss." "This is the woman under my protection," Dante corrected. His hand at my back was warm, steady. "Ah." Vincent smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "Protection. Is that what we're calling it?" The other 2 men laughed. One of them, younger, with a scar cutting through his lip, leaned forward. "She's pretty, Dante. I'll give you that. But starting a war over pussy seems excessive, even for you." Dante's entire body went rigid. I felt murder in the tension of his muscles, saw it in the way his jaw clenched. I squeezed his hand. He looked down at me, and something passed between us, understanding, trust. Then he turned back to the men at the table. "Gentlemen," he said quietly, "if you value your lives, you'll speak about her with respect." Vincent raised his hands in mock surrender. "Easy, Dante. We're all friends here. Just trying to understand the situation. The situation is simple. Elena is mine. Anyone who threatens her threatens me. Anyone who harms her will die screaming. Are we clear?" "Crystal." Vincent gestured to empty chairs across from them. Sit. Let's discuss terms like civilized people. Dante pulled out a chair for me, waited until I sat, then took the seat beside me. His hand found mine under the table, fingers lacing through mine. Vincent poured cognac into glasses, slid them across. So, Elena, what do you do? I looked at Dante. He nodded slightly. I'm an art conservator, I said. Fancy. The scarred man grinned. You restore old paintings? Yes. And you met our boy Dante. How exactly? At his restaurant. Romantic. Vincent swirled his cognac. And you know what he does? Really does? Yes. And you're fine with it? The violence, the blood, the bodies? I felt Dante's hand tighten on mine. A warning. But I met Vincent's eyes steadily. I'm fine with him, I said. Something shifted in Vincent's expression. A flash of respect. Maybe. Or surprise. He leaned back in his chair. Well, she's got spine. I'll give you that, Dante. Elena has a lot of things, Dante said softly. None of which are your concern. Except when you parade her through my city, making her a target for anyone who wants to hurt you, which makes her very much my concern. Then we agree she needs protection. Oh, she needs protection. Question is whether you can provide it without starting a war that'll cost all of us. Vincent drained his glass. So here's my proposal. You want the girl safe? Fine. But you owe me 3 shipments. No questions asked. My cargo, your routes. What cargo? Does it matter? It does, if you're asking me to transport something that'll bring federal heat. Vincent smiled. Always so cautious. It's clean, mostly, and it's not negotiable. I felt Dante's hand tighten painfully on mine. Felt the war raging inside him, pride versus pragmatism, power versus protection. 1 shipment, he said finally. 1. And you spread the word that Elena is untouchable. Anyone who comes after her answers to both of us. 2 shipments. 1. Plus, I'll forget that your man called her pussy to my face. The scarred man's grin vanished. Vincent's eyes glittered with amusement. You drive a hard bargain for a man who showed up begging. I'm not begging. I'm offering you a way to avoid bloodshed. Dante leaned forward. 1 shipment, Vincent. Take it, or I'll handle Elena's protection my own way, which means anyone who threatens her dies, including your people, if necessary. The warehouse went very quiet. Vincent studied Dante for a long moment, then looked at me. Really looked, not leering or assessing, but actually seeing me. You love her, he said. It wasn't a question. Dante didn't answer, but his silence was answer enough. Vincent laughed, a genuine sound. Christo, you actually love her. I didn't think you were capable. Neither did I, Dante said quietly. My heart stopped. We'd never said those words. Never even come close. But hearing him admit it to these dangerous men, in this warehouse, where lives were bartered like currency, it felt more real than any confession whispered in the dark. Vincent stood, extending his hand. 1 shipment. And the girl lives unmolested. You have my word. Dante stood, shook his hand. The deal was done. We walked back to the car in silence. Marco held the door, and we slid into the back seat. The moment we were moving, Dante pulled me into his lap, burying his face in my neck. I'm sorry, he murmured against my skin. I'm so fucking sorry. For what? For loving you. For making you a target. For putting you in a room with those animals. I pulled back to look at him. Did you mean it? What you said? Every word. You love me. Yes. His eyes were raw, vulnerable in a way I'd never seen. I know it's too soon. I know it's insane. But Elena, I've never felt like this. Never wanted to burn the world down to keep someone safe. And his voice broke slightly. I don't know how to do this. How to love someone without destroying them. I cupped his face in my hands. Then maybe you let me decide if I'm destroyed or not. And if you are, then at least I chose it. Chose you. I kissed him softly. I love you too. God help me, but I do. His arms tightened around me like I was the only thing keeping him anchored to earth. We rode through the city in silence, holding each other, and I tried not to think about the price we'd just agreed to pay. 1 shipment of unknown cargo. A small thing, probably. Unless it wasn't. I didn't ask about the shipment. For 3 days, I worked on the Caravaggio in my perfect studio while Dante handled business. He left early, came home late, and when we were together we didn't talk about Vincent or deals or the danger still circling like sharks. We talked about art, about food, about the small things that made life normal. We pretended. On the fourth day, I found the manifest. It was an accident. I was looking for paper in Dante's study. I wanted to sketch out a restoration plan and I opened the wrong drawer. Inside, shipping documents, all stamped with the Marcelli seal. My hands were shaking as I read. Chemical precursors, industrial grade, destination, undisclosed. Chemical precursors. I wasn't naive. I knew what those could become. Knew what industrial grade might mean. I was still standing there, manifest in hand, when Dante walked in. He stopped in the doorway, saw what I was holding. His expression went carefully blank. Put that down, Elena. What is this? Business. My business. Not yours. I looked at the documents again. These chemicals, they can be used to make explosives, drugs, weapons. Yes. And you agreed to transport them. Yes. For Vincent. As payment for protecting me. Yes. He moved into the room, each step measured. Now put it down. Instead, I held it up. This is what I cost you. This is what keeping me safe requires. Elena, how many people will die because of this shipment? Dante? How many? I don't know. The words were harsh, sharp. I don't know what Vincent does with what I move, and I don't ask. That's how this world works. You want to survive? You don't ask questions. But you know, deep down, you know these precursors will hurt people. Probably. And you're fine with that? His jaw tightened. No. I'm not fine with it. But I'm less fine with you bleeding out in an alley because someone decided you were easier to kill than me. I dropped the manifest on his desk. So this is on me. These deaths, they're my fault. No. He crossed the room in 3 strides, gripping my shoulders. This is on me. My choice. My deal. You don't get to carry this. How can I not? You said it yourself, you're doing this to protect me. And I'd do worse. His eyes were fierce. I'd do anything, Elena. Burn cities. Poison rivers. Kill thousands. If that's what it took to keep you breathing, I'd do it without hesitation. The certainty in his voice terrified me more than anything else. That's not love, I whispered. That's obsession. In my world, they're the same thing. I pulled away from him, needing distance. I can't, Dante. I can't be responsible for this. For whatever happens because of that shipment. You're not responsible. I am. But it's happening because of me. It's happening because Vincent is a bastard who saw an opportunity to manipulate me. Dante's control was cracking. It's happening because I was stupid enough to fall in love with someone pure enough to make me want to be better. Someone who makes me feel human again. And yes, Elena, it's happening because I'm too fucking selfish to let you go. Even knowing what it costs. Tears burned my eyes. I should leave. Yes, you should. Tell me to go. Tell me you'll keep me safe from a distance, and I should disappear. He looked at me for a long moment, and I saw the war in his eyes, the part that wanted to protect me from himself battling the part that couldn't survive without me. No, he said finally. I won't tell you to go. I'm not noble enough, Elena. I'm not strong enough. If you want to leave, you'll have to do it yourself. I hate you, I sobbed. I know. I hate what you're doing. What you're making me complicit in. I know that too. And I still love you. God, I pressed my hands to my face, trying to hold myself together. How fucked up is that? He pulled me into his arms, and I let him. Hated myself for it, but I let him hold me while I cried against his chest. We're both fucked up, he murmured into my hair. We're both broken and wrong and too damaged to work. But Elena, I swear to you I'll spend the rest of my life trying to be worth what you've sacrificed. I didn't sacrifice anything. You chose for me. No. He tilted my face up, forcing me to meet his eyes. You chose too. The moment you got in my car, the moment you stayed in my home, the moment you looked at me like I was more than a monster. You chose this, chose me, and now we both have to live with it. He was right. I hated that he was right. I spent the rest of that day in my studio, not working, just sitting in the light and trying to process the person I was becoming. A week ago, I would have called the police, turned in the evidence, done the right thing, no matter the cost. Now I was in love with a criminal, living in his home, protected by his men, complicit in his choices. The door opened. Marco stood there, expression carefully neutral. Miss Elena, there's someone here to see you. Who? Your sister. My blood went cold. How does she showed up at the lobby, demanded to see you. Mr. Rossi thought you'd want to know before he had her removed. I stood. Don't remove her. I'll come down. Maya was in the lobby, arms crossed, looking both terrified and furious. When she saw me, she ran forward. Elena, Jesus Christ. Are you okay? Where have you been? I went to your apartment. You weren't there. Your neighbors said you left with some man. I'm fine, I said quickly. I'm staying with a friend. A friend. She looked around the lobby, all marble and security and obvious wealth. What friend lives like this? Maya, and why haven't you answered my calls? I've been worried sick. I thought something happened. Thought you were... She stopped, really looking at me. You're different. I'm not. You are. You look... She searched for the word. Scared. Elena, what's going on? Behind us, the elevator opened. Dante stepped out, freshly showered, changed into casual clothes. He looked like a model, not a criminal. Maya's eyes went wide. Who the fuck is that? That's Dante. I hesitated. Boyfriend, Dante supplied, coming to stand beside me. He extended his hand to Maya. You must be Dr. Reyes. Elena speaks highly of you. Maya ignored his hand. What have you done to my sister? Maya. I stepped between them. He hasn't done anything. I'm here by choice. Choice. She laughed bitterly. Elle, you don't just disappear for days. You don't lie about where you are. That's not choice. That's... She looked at Dante with sudden understanding. What are you? Who are you that she's this afraid? I'm not afraid, I said. You're terrified. I can see it in your eyes. She grabbed my hand. Come home. Right now. Whatever this is, we'll figure it out. I looked at Dante. He was perfectly still, perfectly controlled, but I saw the tension in his shoulders. The fear that I might actually leave. I can't, I told Maya. Why not? Because I love him. You barely know him. I know enough. Maya's eyes filled with tears. This isn't you, Elena. The sister I know doesn't fall for dangerous men. Doesn't lie to family. Doesn't... The sister you know was half alive, I said quietly, going through the motions, playing it safe. And then I met him, and for the first time in years, I felt something real. Real doesn't mean right. Maybe not. But it's mine. My choice. My risk. My life. We stared at each other, years of sisterhood stretching between us. Finally, Maya stepped back. If you're in trouble, if you need help, I know where you are. She nodded. Looked at Dante one more time. If you hurt her, I will find a way to destroy you. Fair enough, Dante said. Then she was gone. I turned to Dante. The shipment. When does it move? Tomorrow night. I want to see it. Want to know exactly what I'm complicit in. His expression darkened. Elena, tomorrow night, I repeated. I'm going with you. The port at night was all shadows and shipping containers stacked like building blocks against the sky. I sat in the SUV beside Dante, watching his men move through the darkness with military precision. Marco coordinated from the front seat, speaking quietly into a radio. You shouldn't be here, Dante said for the 10th time. Too late now. The shipment was coming in on a container ship from Rotterdam. Vincent's cargo, hidden among legitimate imports, protected by paperwork that Dante's contacts had made disappear. When it arrives, Dante said, you stay in the car. No matter what happens. What could happen? Raids, betrayals, ambushes. He checked his gun, a casual gesture that still made my stomach clench. This is the most dangerous part, the transfer. If someone wants to make a move, this is when they'll do it. Vincent wouldn't. Vincent would do whatever benefits Vincent. I'm trusting him, but trust in this world is just calculated risk. A truck appeared at the far end of the lot. Then another. Then 3 more. That's them, Marco said. Dante's men emerged from the shadows, surrounding the trucks. I watched Vincent climb out of the lead vehicle, flanked by his scarred lieutenant and 2 others I didn't recognize. The 2 groups faced each other in the sodium lights, and I felt the tension even from inside the car. Then Vincent smiled, gestured to the containers. Open them, Marco translated over the radio. He's showing good faith. Dante got out. I started to follow, but his hand shot out, stopping me. Stay. But... Stay. His eyes were hard. Please, Elena. I nodded. He closed the door. I watched him walk toward Vincent. Every movement controlled. They shook hands. Vincent said something that made Dante's shoulders tighten, but he nodded. The containers opened. From my position, I couldn't see inside clearly. Just shapes, boxes, industrial packaging. Then one of Vincent's men pulled out a smaller crate, pried it open. Even from here, I recognized the contents. Not chemical precursors, weapons, military-grade rifles, still packed in factory grease. My hands went numb. This was what I'd agreed to. What Dante had agreed to for me. Not chemicals, not precursors, actual weapons. Guns that would be used to kill, to wage war. The explosion came from the south side of the port. Massive, concussive, turning night into day. Then, gunfire. I screamed as bullets shattered the SUV's back window. Marco was suddenly in motion, the car reversing at high speed while glass rained down on me. "Get down!" he shouted. I threw myself onto the floor as more rounds hit the vehicle. Through the window, I saw Dante running toward us, returning fire, his men forming a protective wall around him. Another explosion, closer this time. The SUV swerved, and I was thrown against the door. My head cracked against metal, stars bursting across my vision. Then Dante was there, yanking the door open, pulling me out. "Run!" We ran. Behind us, Vincent's men were engaging. Whoever was attacking, I couldn't see them clearly, just muzzle flashes and shadows. The weapons containers were on fire now, ammunition cooking off in staccato bursts. Dante pulled me behind a shipping container, pressed me against the corrugated metal. His hands moved over me, checking for injuries. "Are you hit?" "I don't think so." "I don't, Dante." "Who's the Bratva?" His expression was murderous. Russian syndicate. They must have followed Vincent's shipment, decided to take it for themselves. What do? We survive. He pulled out his phone, barked orders in rapid Italian. Then he looked at me, and for just a second, his mask cracked. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Cristo, Elena, I'm so fucking sorry. I should never have brought you here. I asked to come. You shouldn't have had to ask." He pressed his forehead against mine, breath ragged. "You should be home, safe, painting. Not hiding behind cargo containers while people try to kill you." Footsteps approached. Dante spun, gun raised. A man emerged from the smoke, Russian, from his features and the tattoos visible on his neck. He saw us, smiled, raised his weapon. Dante fired first. The man went down, and I turned away, pressing my face against Dante's chest, trying not to see, not to hear, not to understand what had just happened. "We need to move," Dante said. "The car's compromised. Marco's bringing another one to the north gate. Can you run?" I nodded. We ran, through smoke and chaos and the screams of dying men. Past burning containers and bodies and weapons scattered like toys. Dante kept me close, his body between me and the danger, moving with terrifying efficiency. We were almost to the gate when someone grabbed me from behind. I screamed. Dante spun, but the Russian had a gun to my head. "Drop it," the man said in heavily accented English. Dante went very still. "Let her go. Drop gun, now." For a long moment, Dante just stared at the man holding me, and I saw something in his eyes I'd never seen before. Not anger, not violence. Pure, cold calculation. "Okay," Dante said. He lowered his gun slowly. "Okay, you win." The pressure of the gun against my temple eased slightly. Dante moved. I didn't even see how it happened. One second he was 5 feet away. The next he'd closed the distance, twisted the gun away, and snapped the Russian's neck with his bare hands. The man dropped. Dante caught me before I fell, pulling me against him. "Don't look," he murmured. "Don't look, baby. Just keep your eyes on me." But I had looked, had seen the life leave the Russian's eyes, had felt his grip loosen as death took him, had watched the man I loved kill without hesitation. Sirens wailed in the distance. "We need to go," Dante said. Marco's car appeared. We piled in, and the port disappeared behind us in smoke and flashing lights. Back at the penthouse, Dante sat me on the bathroom counter and cleaned the cut on my forehead where I'd hit the car door. His hands were gentle, so gentle, but I could see them shaking. "I killed someone in front of you," he said quietly, "to save me. That doesn't make it better." He pressed a bandage to my forehead. "You saw what I am, really am. Not the man who takes you to dinner or makes love to you in the afternoon. The monster who kills without thinking." I caught his wrist, making him look at me. "You thought. I saw you think. Saw you calculate the odds, plan the move. And that's better? It's honest. I pulled him closer, until we were eye to eye. I'm not naive, Dante. I knew what you were, but knowing and seeing are different things. And yes, I'm scared. Yes, I'm shaken. But I'm not leaving. You should. Stop telling me what I should do. I kissed him, tasting smoke and fear and something desperate. I'm here, I'm alive, and that's because of you. It's also my fault you were in danger in the first place. Then we're even. He laughed, a broken sound. Then he was kissing me back, hands tangling in my hair, mouth desperate against mine. We made love right there, in the bathroom, surrounded by the evidence of violence, his torn clothes, my bandaged forehead, the smell of gunpowder still clinging to our skin. It was raw, desperate, real. Afterward, he carried me to bed, and we lay tangled together in the dark. The shipment's gone, I said quietly. Destroyed in the fire. Vincent will want another deal. Will you make it? I don't know. His arm tightened around me. For the first time in my life, I'm not sure the price is worth it. What changed? I almost lost you tonight, and I realized. His voice broke. I realized I'd rather lose everything else than watch you die. I turned in his arms, pressing my hand over his racing heart. Then let's figure out another way. Together. He kissed my forehead. Together. Outside, the city slept, but we lay awake, holding each other, and tried to believe we could survive what was coming. Vincent came for his answer 3 days later. I was in the studio, actually working this time, when I heard raised voices from Dante's office. I set down my brush and moved closer, heart pounding. Don't care about your personal crisis, Vincent was saying. We had a deal. The deal was one shipment. That shipment was destroyed. So we do another? No. Silence. Then Vincent laughed. No? You're saying no to me? I'm saying the cost is too high. The cost? Dante, we're talking about a girl. A pretty face that will age and fade like every other. I heard the impact of a fist on wood. Finish that sentence, Dante said quietly, and I will end you right here. Another silence. Longer this time. She's made you weak, Vincent said finally. The great Dante Rossi, brought low by a woman with soft hands and sad eyes. Your father would be ashamed. My father was a monster who died alone and unmourned. If loving Elena makes me weak, then I'll be weak. But I won't sacrifice her for your fucking weapons deals. Then you sacrifice our alliance. You sacrifice the protection I offered her. I'll protect her myself. Against everyone. Against every family that sees her as a way to hurt you. Vincent's voice dropped. Think, Dante. Without my backing, without our agreement, she's open season. Every syndicate in the city will know you chose her over your obligations. That kind of disrespect? It demands a response. I couldn't breathe. Then respond, Dante said. Come at me. Come at her. I'll kill every last one of you. You can't kill everyone. I can try. Footsteps. The office door opened. Vincent emerged, saw me standing in the hallway. His expression shifted surprise, then something calculating. Ah, the woman herself. He moved closer, and I forced myself not to step back. Do you understand what he's giving up for you, Elena? The alliances, the power, the safety? All because he can't stomach the idea of you being uncomfortable with his choices. I understand, I said. And you're worth it? Worth war? Worth the blood that will be spilled? I looked past him to Dante, who stood in the office doorway, jaw tight, eyes dark. Ask him, I said. Vincent turned. Well, Dante, is she? Yes. One word. Absolute certainty. Vincent shook his head. Then you're both fools, and fools don't last long in our world. He moved toward the elevator, then paused. You have until Sunday to reconsider. After that, all bets are off. The elevator doors closed behind him. I walked to Dante. He pulled me into his arms, and I felt him shaking. I just declared war, he said against my hair. I know. People will die. I know that too. He pulled back, cupping my face in his hands. Say it. Say you want me to make the deal. Say your conscience is worth more than my pride. I can't, Elena. I can't, Dante. I can't ask you to transport weapons that will kill innocent people. Can't live with myself knowing I'm the reason you made that choice. But I also, my voice broke, I also can't ask you to go to war for me. Can't be responsible for the deaths that will come from this. Then what do we do? I pressed my forehead against his chest. We choose the thing we can live with, and we accept the consequences. For 2 days, we existed in a strange limbo. Dante called in every favor, strengthened every defense, prepared for the war he'd started. I worked on the Caravaggio, finding strange peace in the methodical process of restoration. Saturday evening, Dante found me in the studio, watching the sunset through the windows. "I've been thinking," he said, "about what you said, about choosing what we can live with." He moved to stand beside me, both of us reflected in the glass. "I can't live with you being hurt, can't survive watching you die. But I also," he took a breath, "I can't live with being the man who broke you, who made you complicit in atrocities just to ease my own fears. Dante, let me finish." He turned me to face him. "There's a third option, one I should have offered from the beginning." "What option?" "You disappear. I send you away, new identity, new city, enough money to start over. I'll maintain the facade that you're still under my protection, which will keep most threats away, and I'll handle Vincent my own way." My stomach dropped. "You want me to leave. I want you safe, more than I want you here." His eyes were bright with unshed tears. "I want you to have the life you should have had, the one I stole when I sat down at your table. And you? What happens to you? I survive, or I don't. Either way, you get to live." I stared at him. This man who'd turned my world upside down, who'd made me complicit in violence and sin, who'd loved me enough to destroy himself. "No," I said. "Elena, no." I gripped his shirt, pulling him closer. "I'm not leaving. I'm not disappearing. I'm not letting you face this alone. You're not thinking clearly. I'm thinking perfectly clearly. For the first time in my life, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." I kissed him hard. "I choose you, Dante. The violence, the danger, the impossible choices, I choose all of it. I choose us. You'll regret it, maybe. But it will be my regret. My choice. My life." I looked up at him. "Tell Vincent no. Tell him you won't make the deal. And let whatever happens happen." "Elena, that's insane? Reckless? Wrong?" I smiled through my tears. "Yes, it's all of those things, but it's honest. And I'd rather be honestly damned with you than safely miserable without you." He kissed me then, and it felt like surrender, like acceptance, like coming home. "Tomorrow," he said against my mouth. "I'll tell him tomorrow." We made love on the studio floor, surrounded by art and light and the evidence of restoration. We moved together like we were trying to memorize each other. Like this might be the last time. Maybe it would be. Afterward, lying in his arms, I thought about Maya's words, "This isn't you." She was right. This wasn't the woman I'd been, but it was the woman I'd chosen to become. "I love you," I whispered. "I love you too." Dante's arms tightened around me. "Whatever happens tomorrow, whatever comes after, I love you." Outside, the city hummed with life. Inside, we held each other and prepared for war. Sunday arrived with cold rain and the weight of impossible choices. Dante dressed for the meeting like he was going to his own execution, perfectly tailored suit, gun concealed at his back, face carved from stone. I watched him from the bed, memorizing the line of his shoulders, the way his hands moved as he adjusted his cufflinks. "You're staring," he said without turning. "I'm remembering." He turned to look at me. "Don't talk like that." "Like what?" "Like you're saying goodbye." I got up, crossed to him, straightened his tie even though it didn't need it. "Promise me something. Anything. If this goes wrong, if Vincent doesn't accept your answer and things get violent, you don't sacrifice yourself for me. You survive. You fight like hell, and you survive." His jaw tightened. "I can't promise that, Dante. I can promise I'll do everything in my power to keep us both alive. But if it comes down to you or me..." He cupped my face. "There's no choice. There never was." The meeting was at Vincent's estate in Westchester Neutral Ground. Allegedly, though the dozens of armed men positioned around the property suggested otherwise. We drove up in convoy. 2 cars ahead of us, 3 behind, Marco at the wheel and me pressed against Dante's side like I could anchor him through proximity alone. Vincent waited on the front steps, flanked by his scarred lieutenant and what looked like half his organization. As we got out, I felt the weight of all those eyes, all those guns. "Dante," Vincent said as we approached. "And Elena. How dramatic to bring her." "She's part of this," Dante said. She deserves to hear my answer. And that answer is? No. The word hung in the air like a death sentence. Vincent's expression didn't change. No. No deal. No shipments. No compromise. Dante's hand found mine, squeezed once. I won't trade blood for safety. Won't make Elena complicit in atrocities to ease my own conscience. You realize what you're saying, what you're choosing. I'm choosing her, always her. Vincent looked at me. And you? You accept this? Accept the war this will start? I stepped forward, even though my legs were shaking. I accept the man I love, making the choice he can live with. And I'll face the consequences with him. How noble. Vincent turned to his lieutenant. Antonio, show them what nobility costs in our world. Antonio reached into his jacket. Dante moved, pushing me behind him, hand going for his gun. Wait. The voice came from behind Vincent. An older woman emerged from the house, elegant in a designer suit, gray hair perfectly coiffed. She moved with the kind of authority that made even Vincent's men straighten. Madre, Vincent said, surprise clear in his voice. I didn't know you were. You didn't ask. She descended the steps slowly, assessing us with sharp eyes. So, this is the girl causing all the trouble. Mrs. Marcelli, Dante said carefully. I didn't realize. No one realizes anything anymore. She stopped in front of me, studying my face like I was a painting she was considering for purchase. What's your name? Child? Elena Reyes. And you love my son's business partner? Yes. Enough to die for him? I felt Dante tense beside me, but I met her eyes steadily. Yes. But I'd rather live for him. Something shifted in her expression, amusement, maybe, or respect. She turned to Dante. You've chosen well. She has spine. Then she turned to Vincent. And you, my son, have forgotten the most important rule of our business, which is, that family comes first, always. She gestured between me and Dante. Look at them. Really look. When was the last time you saw love like that in our world? Real. Honest. Willing to burn everything down? That's exactly the problem, Vincent started. No. The problem is that you saw an opportunity to manipulate, instead of an opportunity to strengthen an alliance. She moved back toward the house, then paused. Dante Rossi has never asked for anything, never shown weakness, never cared about anything except power and profit. And now he cares about this woman enough to risk war. That's not weakness, Vincent. That's the most dangerous kind of strength. Vincent stared at his mother. You can't be suggesting. I'm not suggesting. I'm deciding. She looked at Dante. You don't want to run weapons. Fine, but you owe us 3 favors, to be called in at my discretion. Legal favors, information, access, political pressure. Nothing that will make your woman ashamed of you. Dante's hand tightened on mine. And, in exchange, Elena lives unmolested. You get our protection and our alliance, and my son stops acting like a petty tyrant. She smiled. Do we have an agreement? I looked at Dante. He looked at me. 3 favors, unknown future obligations, but legal, clean, a way to survive without destroying ourselves. Yes, Dante said. We have an agreement. Mrs. Marcelli extended her hand. Dante shook it. Then she surprised us both by taking my hand, her grip surprisingly strong. Take care of him, child. Men like my son and Dante, they need women like us to remind them they're human. Then she was gone, disappearing back into the house and leaving Vincent staring after her. Well, he said finally. It appears I've been overruled. Appears so, Dante said. 3 favors, Rossi. My mother is more ruthless than I am. Whatever she asks, it won't be easy. I'll manage. Vincent studied us for a long moment, then actually smiled. You really do love her. More than anything. Then God help you both. He gestured to his men, who lowered their weapons. Go home. Be happy. And pray my mother doesn't call in those favors anytime soon. We drove back to the city in silence, hands clasped, neither of us quite believing we'd survived. When we got back to the penthouse, Dante pulled me straight into his arms, burying his face in my neck. We're alive, he said, like he was trying to convince himself. We're alive, I confirmed. And together. He pulled back, searching my face. Are you sure? About this? About me? Because Elena, if you have any doubts, any at all, I kissed him quiet. I'm sure. I choose you. I choose this life. I choose us, every single day. even knowing what I am, especially knowing what you are. The violence and the tenderness, the monster and the man, all of it. We made love right there, against the windows overlooking the city we'd nearly burned down for each other. And this time, it felt different, not desperate or afraid, but certain, chosen. Afterward, we stood at the window together, wrapped in a blanket, watching the lights below. 3 favors, I said. What do you think she'll ask for, knowing Mrs. Marcelli? Things that will test every boundary I have, but things I can live with. He kissed my temple. Things we can live with together. Together, I repeated. Down below, the city carried on oblivious to the war that almost was, the deals made in shadows, the love that had changed everything. My phone buzzed. Maya, dinner next week? I want to meet him properly, and make sure you're really okay. I texted back. I'm really okay. I'm happy. I promise. Her response? That's all I needed to hear. Love you, Elle. I leaned back against Dante, feeling his heartbeat steady against my spine, and thought about the woman I'd been 3 weeks ago. Careful, controlled, half alive. That woman would never have survived this. But this woman, the one who'd chosen danger over safety, love over logic, passion over peace, this woman was exactly where she needed to be. What are you thinking? Dante asked. That I'm glad you sat down at my table. Even with everything that came after? I turned in his arms, looked up at the man who'd turned my world upside down, who'd killed for me and nearly died for me and loved me enough to let me choose my own damnation. Especially with everything that came after, I said. He smiled, real, genuine, the expression transforming his face from dangerous to devastating. Then let's go to bed, Elena Reyes. We have the rest of our lives to figure out. We did. And if those lives were darker, more dangerous, more complicated than I'd ever imagined, well, at least they were ours.